Hola guys and girls and welcome to the PPL Season 2 Borussia Donphan Draft Quiz, the show where you get questions about the draft and why I drafted these mons, and yeah, you can answer them, you can see how right you are, how wrong you are, and yeah, have a little bit more fun with the draft analysis to see like how well do you know me. Like, I upload a lot of draft analyses throughout my career, so a lot of the viewers out there who follow me for a long time should have a good idea on why I draft mons, what happens there. And yeah, basically that's what it's gonna be about. And yeah, let's hop right in. So, as the first pick, the Borussia Donphan drafted in the season for 18 points, Lidios. The question is, what was the main reason that I drafted Lidios? That's gonna be the question the whole time. A. Frank Trout, the coach of the FC Volcarona, sniped me by picking Iron Boulder right before me. B. Because Lidios is blue. C. Because Lidios got new and buffed moves in form of Flip Turn and the Luster Purge. And D, because it's a Dragon type. Okay, let's run the clock a little bit. You have 5 seconds. Okay, that's 5 seconds, and the correct answer would have been C, because of the new and buffed moves of Lidios. I want to try Lidios with Flip Turn and with the buffed moves of Luster Purge, which is now a very strong psychic move, 95 base power, and has a 50% chance of dropping the Spit Death of the opposing mon, so even the resists after the drops are not really resist anymore, and that sounded like fun for me. Lidios was already a great mon, and now it got even better, and I would try it out how good it was. So yeah, that's the reason we got Lidios for 18 points. Now, going on to the second pick for the Borussia Donphan, we drafted Excadrill for 15 points. The question is, why did I draft Excadrill? A. Because I wanted to build a sand team. B. Because Vepsis sniped Iron Treads from me. C. Because it's the best rapid spinner in the game. And D. Because I think it's underpriced at 15 points. And the correct answer comes after 5 seconds, so let's wait a bit. The correct answer is because Iron Treads got sniped. That's the one I wanted. I would have preferred this slot. Just the steel and ground typing, of course, synergy as well already with the levitating psychic type, which is Lidios, and dragon type, of course, as well. So yeah, just worked very well there. I was aware that Iron Treads could potentially be gone at the point I was drafting, so Excadrill was already my secondary pick going there, just as the same typing as a rapid spinner as well. That's basically the main thing I wanted here. I want to have one of the good rapid spinners because they're pretty rare in this gen, so I don't have to worry about hazards. Yeah, without losing my own, but just being forced to like default because my good hazard movers are all defaulters. So yeah, that's why we got Excadrill now. Excited to use it. Long time since I used it last time, I think. I mean, I used it in my first league, actually. GPC, all of you guys remember, the first ever league I joined, which ended up winning. I had Excadrill, so maybe that's a good sign for here as well. But okay, third pick for the Borussia Donphan in PPL Season 2 was Galarian Weezing for 11 points. The question is, why did I draft Weezing at this point in the draft? And the options are A, because it's a pretty cheap fairy. B, because it has a mustache. C, it offers me a different option of hazard removal in defog. And D, neutralizing gas got buffed in the regard that it affects photosynthesis and quark drive, denying the boost they get in weather or stuff like that. Let's wait 5 seconds for you. The correct answer would have been A, because of cheap fairy. I want the fairy at this point, and yeah, not a lot of them are gone, and as people probably know from my drafting style already, I like to not spend a lot of points in my early picks, as most people do. Like they go for the big value mon, the great mons, which cost a lot of points. I tend to go rather cheap very early, so I have more points left later in the draft, and there I don't have to worry about getting sniped because no one can afford the expensive mons I'm looking at, and just makes drafting and planning a lot easier. So yeah, that's why I got Galarian Weezing. It just sounded like a good fairy with the levitate psychic type. Like all the other things, they of course are nice as well. I like that it has moves, I like that it has a mustache, and I like the neutralizing gas affects mons that way. But the main reason, of course, was that it's just a cheap fairy, so that's why I got the Galarian Weezing. Okay, the fourth pick for the Borussia Donphan is Porygon 2 for 9 points. And the question is, once again, why did I draft Porygon 2 at this point? So, first option. Mountay drafted Spectria, and I need the normal type to check that potentially. B, because I think it's underpriced. C, because it's a good Terra option. This is actually one of the mons I can Terra on my team. Lidios, of course, would be not allowed. Excadrill not allowed. Weezing as well, but Porygon is a great option to Terra. And D, because it's blue. And the correct answer comes after 5 seconds. The correct answer is, because I think it's underpriced. I think 9 points for Porygon 2 is insane. It is a good Terra option, I do agree with that, and it's great to have a normal type for Mount A, and it is blue, but the main reason was because I think for 9 points, that's an insane pickup, and yeah, I knew very early that I wanted this Mon, and since I didn't feel like I need anything else, nothing really was on the table getting sniped or something like that, I thought, okay, let's just go for here now, so no one else can steal it from me, and we can go play with Porygon 2. But yeah, that's that. Now, for the next pick, the 5th pick of the Borussia Donphan for PPL Season 2 was Tyranitar for 13 points. So, same question as always. Why Tyranitar? The options are A, because it's a stealth rocker other than Excadrill, and Excadrill doesn't like having rocks. B, because it gets knockoff now, and that's a great move, of course. C, because it's sand, and sand, of course, works with Excadrill pretty well. And D, it punishes psychic types, which could potentially be checks to Lidios with the Luster Purge spam. And the correct answer is... gives me sand. That's basically, once I drafted Excadrill, it was pretty like, no one was surprised that I want one of the sand setters as well. And I like Tyranitar as the sand setter of Excadrill the most, because the other sand setters are ground types, and then I have double ground types as Excadrill. Tyranitar is a dark and rock type, so it's definitely not... same typing as all the other ones I have, but the other reasons, of course, are correct as well. But main reason was it just gives me sand for Excadrill, which makes Excadrill a way bigger threat than it would be without sand support. So yeah, that's Tyranitar for you. It is a great mon on its own as well, of course, but yeah, usually I wouldn't draft Tyranitar if I don't have Excadrill. Okay, next up, 6th pick of the Borussia Donphan for PPL Season 2, and that is Electri for 7 points. And the options are A, because it got a bunch of good new moves in forms of Supercell Slam, Knockoff, and Trailblaze. B, it's a good Terra option. It's one of the mons I can Terra. It's not that expensive. I can still Terra Electri and Porygon 2. C, it's an electric immunity with Motor Drive, which is not a ground type, which is always nice. Or D, because it's a very cheap electric type, and you usually want electric type on your team. So, let's find out what the correct answer was, and it is... The correct answer is A, because of the new moves it got. Electivire was never really a great electric type. It was decent at best, but that's why the points are there. But with like now a very strong physical electric move in Supercell Slam and Knockoff and Trailblaze, this mod can actually put in some work. And yeah, I just want to try it out. That was one of the mons as well I looked at early and before the draft even started. That was one of the mons I wanted at some point in the draft. And at this point I decided to pull the trigger because of these new moves it gets now. Okay, next up, the next pick for the Borussia Donphan is a mon which most people are aware of already that I enjoy to use, and that is Bramble Gast for 6 points. So, same question as always, what is the reason I drafted Bramble Gast at this point? A, because it offers me spikes, which I didn't have yet. B, because it's a secondary spinner, and that means I can open up Excadrill for other options. C, because fuck Shroom Raver. And D, because it gets Poltergeist now. And the correct answer, you found out in 5 seconds, is... The correct answer is... Fuck Shroomwaver, actually. Because I wanted Sinistcha. Sinistcha was the grass, one of the mons in the grass ghost type, which I looked before in the draft, which I wanted to use. I talked about it with a lot of people. It's a heat-proof grass type. It has a lot of utility in other regards. I would have loved to use that, but it got picked by Shroomwaver just before, so I had to pick another mon. And then Bramble Gast was just sitting there as another ghost grass type, and offers me, of course, all the stuff I mentioned as well. It gets Poltergeist, of course, is a spinner, of course, is a spiker. But mainly I got it at that point because... Fuck Shroom for taking my Sinistcha. I hate you. Okay, next up. The next pick is a big one. It's a big one for the Borussia Donphan because the next pick was Volcarona for 12 points. So, why did I draft Volcarona? The options are A, because it's a base 100 Speedmon, which I didn't have at that point yet. B, because I think it's underpriced at 12 points. C, because it's a fire type for my Firewater Grass Core. And D, because I forgot that Morning Sun doesn't work as well in sand. And the correct answer is... it's B. It's B. It's underpriced. Volcarona at 12 points. I never saw Volcarona so cheap. It's true that I was missing a fire type, but there was a lot of fire types still around. But I never saw Volcarona so cheap. Maybe it's correct to be there, But I just thought, okay, at that price point, I have to just pick it up. Maybe it sucks. Maybe it's not really suck. Maybe it's just mid, and that's why in this price range. But I thought at 12 points an insane pickup. So yeah, we have Volcarona on our team. Yeah, of course the other things are correct as well. I did not forget about Morning Sun. I knew that beforehand, to be honest. But yeah, people mentioned that to me after I drafted it. And why do I draft Volcarona with Morning Sun if you have Sand? And I'm like, every fire type basically has only Morning Sun as recovery, and yeah, I still want a fire type, even if I have Sand. So I don't really think that's a big factor in picking that. But okay, next up, we picked up Lucha for 12 points. And the options are on why I picked Lucha at this point in the draft are A, because it's very fast, it has a lot of speed. B, because I have terrain potentially with Galarian Weezing and Misty Terrain, so I can use it as a Burden Sweeper. C, it's my first true ground immunity. My other ground immunities are Galarian Weezing and Lidios, and they're both levitating. So like Mold Breaker mons or other things kind of affect that. So it's my first flying type and that first true ground immunity. And D, Frank told me to draft it because Frank is a big fan of Lucha. And the correct answer is... The correct answer is A, because the fast mon. I need speed on my team. The unburden thing is nice, but this of course will not happen every match. But I needed a fast mon on my team still. I think at this point the fast mon was Lidios, and that is decently fast for sure. But I'd like to have like something a bit more faster than like something over the 110 range to outspeed mons like Lidios and similar stuff. So I decided to go for Lucha. So I have a mon even without sand, without terrain. I can just have a mon which is pretty fast. And yeah, revenge kill stuffs go for U-turns, all the shenanigans which fast mons like to do. And yeah, that's why I drafted Lucha, but of course all the other synergies are correct, even the fact that Frank told me to draft it because I had some options there, and yeah, Frank is just a bigger fan of Lucha, and I thought, yeah, if I can make Frank happy, then that is a good pick as well. But okay, let's go. Next pick was Houndstone for 7 points. And yeah, the 4 options I have for you on why I picked Houndstone is A, because Last Respect is not banned, it was Banadant. B, because it's a good Terra option, once again for my team. With Fluffy, a nice ability to get the defense raises with a defensive Terra. That's going to be great. C, because it gets Poltergeist now. And D, because it has Sand Rush, and I have a Tyranitar with Sand moves. And the correct answer is... D, because it has Sand Rush, and kind of B as well, because due to Sand Rush is a great Terra option. So that's a kind of option there. But yeah, the main reason is because it's a Sand Rush, another Sand Rush mon with Excadrill. So yeah, I'm not that heavy invested into Sand. I basically have only 3 mons, which synergizes it. Like one is the mon itself, it sets the sand, and then 2 Sand Rush sweepers. So I always like with the weather teams that are not for, like I have to bring the weather every time. I like that if my teams can work outside of weather as well. And Houndstone is one of the mons as well. It has Sand Rush, but it definitely can work without the sand as well, but just being fluffy, being very bulky ghost type. On the physical side, of course. And yeah, it has Poltergeist now, so it's not it losing Last Respect, because sadly, even if there was a typo in the rule stock and it was Banadant, it sadly is corrected and now banned. So yeah, I hate the admins for that, because obviously I wanted Houndstone because of the Last Respect loophole with the Banadant. But yeah, that's the reason we have Houndstone on the team. And then our last pick for this season of the PPL for the Borussia Donphan was Mola for 10 points. And the option is why I picked it up here. A, because it's a slow pivot with Flip Turn or Baton Pass. B, because it's a Wish Passer, and I didn't have that yet on the team. C, because it's a Bulky Water, and I didn't have that on the team as well either. Or D, because it has Scald now. Or it got Scald recently. And yeah, the correct answer is C, because of Bulky Water. And as you know, I love my cars, and I didn't have Bulky Water yet, but I had a lot of options still there left, mainly due to the reason that I was so, yeah, responsible with my budget, I want to say, and I had a lot of points left over in the last few rounds. I could have gotten a Mola, I could have gotten other stuff as well, like very high value Bulky Waters, which other people couldn't get anymore. So I just wait. That's why I waited for my water type so long. Didn't felt the need to pick it up earlier, but yeah, that's basically the squad. As you can see, we got the Lidios, we got the Excadrill, we got the Tyranitar, Porygon 2, Galarian Weezing, Electri, Bramble Gast, Lucha, Volcarona, Houndstone, and Mola. Now the only thing left is to decide what our Terramons are. Basically, I already spoiled which 3 I was considering. I was considering Porygon 2, Electivire, and the Houndstone. And in the end, I decided to go with Porygon 2 and the Houndstone because I like the option of having one more offensive Terra in the Houndstone, which can be defensive as well, obviously, like I mentioned with Fluffy, stuff like that. But mainly offensively in Sandrush, I can make it a Terra Fighting type or Terra Fairy type to hit some Dark types and other normal types, which otherwise would resist my Ghost Stab. And it has to be Ghost Terra, one of them has to be Stab. And then Porygon 2 I enjoy because mainly it's a very good defensive Terra. I decided to go with Terra Fairy on that and the Terra Electric. Terra Normal has to be one. Terra Fairy, of course, mainly is a defensive mon because what Porygon 2 does attract are the fighting moves and, of course, the knockoffs. So I wanted a type which resists both of that, and Fairy, which is just in general a good defensive typing. And last but not least, Electric, in case I want to be more offensive because everyone, I think people remember the time where the Porygon Z was running rampant with the Z move conversion, which changed the typing to Electric, which then made it stab Thunderbolt with the Ice Beam and stuff like that. Basically, Porygon 2 can do similar stuff and give it like it can be Electric type, which gets Ice Beam and Agility and potentially Download, which boosts the special attack, stuff like that. And yeah, more offensive option than Electric. And of course, Electric itself doesn't have a lot of weaknesses either, only ground, so it can work in that regard too. But yeah, that's basically team for PP. That's the Borussia Donphan team for PPL Season 2. I hope you did enjoy this kind of draft analysis. Let me know how many correct answers you got down in the comments below. No cheating, of course. I hope you played fairly and correctly there. But yeah, be excited for this season. It's going to be a great one. And I will see you for the matches starting next week. So, ciao.